Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today, of course, we have two new cards to talk about. We have the new Produce SSR for Fuyuko, and we also have the Support SSR for Sakuya. Keep in mind that both of these cards are limited, meaning that you will not be able to get these cards for a while once this banner is over. This banner is also relatively short, ending in just a couple days, so you don't have too much longer to go for this card, so I wanted to get this out here as soon as I could. Let's go ahead and get things started, of course, with Fuyuko. So, Fuyuko is a pure vocal unit who has access to some AoE appeals. The first is a vocal 3.5 that fortifies your vocal buffs and grants a 30% vocal buff for 4 turns. This links into a vocal 80% buff for 4 turns. The upgraded version of this is a vocal 4.5 AoE to all judges that fortifies your vocal buffs, grants a 60% vocal buff for 4 turns, and links into a vocal 80% buff for 4 turns. Her memory appeal when maxed out is a vocal 2.0 that fortifies your vocal buffs that links into a vocal 2.5 that fortifies your vocal buffs. Remember that fortification, otherwise double effect, means that any existing buffs you already have will double their strength until the buff wears off. So if you had a vocal 30% buff and then used your memory appeal, it would be fortified up to 60% and then fortified again for presumably another 60%, making it a 120%. As for her passives, her 2-star passive is a vocal 100% up and memory gauge 10% up if you have one or more active vocal up buffs. So anything like what her appeal grants. So any sort of vocal buff that comes from an appeal, hence the active buff. This has a 20% chance to activate twice. The 4-star passive is a vocal 120% up that has the requirement of 3 or more vocal up buffs, which has a 20% chance to activate 3 times. I think Fuyuko overall is pretty solid. The card is clearly meant to be a tie-in with MSC May, denoting a new version of Vocal Stray Light rather than iterating on the one that already works. Since many people were disappointed by MSC May for not being a true upgrade to the current Vocal Stray Light, now the insinuation is that we've just got 2 different versions of the same team that are going to be coming up here very soon. There's clearly something they're trying to plan here. I do think it's a little strange that her memory appeal applies double fortification, just because in most cases your memory appeal is meant to be the finisher. But I guess if you do have to make an appeal afterwards, whatever's going to be attacking is going to be going real strong with whatever buffs you probably have stacked up prior. I think this card is very easy S- to S. She's reasonably strong and has a very funny setup style as a center that doesn't compromise too much. They're very clearly planning something with a future Asahi, so let's hang tight and see what they're going to be doing with that. Next up then, of course, we have Sakuya, who is a pure visual support. Her masteries include Visual Mastery Mental, which reaches plus 15 at level 80, it's plus 12 at level 75, and plus 8 at level 55. Visual Mastery SP reaching plus 12 at level 80, plus 9 at level 75, and plus 7 at level 55. Unit Mastery Visual Limit Up, which is plus 5 at level 70, or plus 3 at level 50, and finally Visual Mastery Stamina reaching plus 5 at level 80 and plus 3 at level 65. Sakuya is one of those supports where high investment is really the only way to go, as most of the big spikes come in at level 75 as opposed to level 70, so at most you're probably going to have to look at 3-star, maybe 4-star. But this card is probably worth it as we get into the rest of the details for this card. Her initial appeal is a visual 2.5 that lowers the judge's interest by 20% for 3 turns, and the 4-star appeal is a visual 3.5 that lowers the judge's interest by 20% for 3 turns. Also, both of these appeals ignore interest, meaning that any sort of reduction is not going to matter because you'll just hit right through it. But this also means you can't take advantage of any interest up on a judge either. So make sure to commit to interest down in your build if you are planning to use this appeal seriously. For the passives, she has 2 notable ones. The first, her 2-star passive, is a visual 110% up that requires your max mental to be 4500 or higher. It has a 30% chance to activate twice. Finally, she has a visual 100% passive which requires you to be in the center position, and it has a 20% chance to activate once. Sakuya is going to be pretty strong, if not one of the better visual supports for general use now. Her 2-star passive is practically free on any team and makes her Murmur Maid Mommy Me, but for visual. Even their appeals are similar. Having the center buff as well over Mommy Me is fairly important, since Murmur Maid really only had one passive, and here we have at least two. I think Sakuya is a very easy double S support, because everything that she has is going to be really strong for virtually every team that is playing visual, and because you already have cards like Twaikole Mamimi, and even some older cards like the Christmas Yuika, there are some really powerful options that you can do for visual Antika support lineups that are going to be able to make full advantage of this type of passive, and what makes this card very strong. Visual teams should be set for a pretty long time. So, that will do it for the video today. Relatively quick one. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like it and leave a comment for anything else you'd like to see here on the channel. Hopefully everybody else has also been enjoying the release of Song for Prism, which just came out a couple days ago. So, if you've been enjoying that, here's to, hopefully, a nice balance between the two games in terms of content distribution and overall enjoyment. Till the next video, I've been Cho, thanks for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.